Hello, Gary Stearman with another commentary, this one on the British exit from the European Union. I could talk for hours on this, but I'm going to limit it to a few minutes because I think we need to concentrate on what has actually happened. Christians are being satirized on the web. I don't know whether you've seen some of the locations, but picking out one in particular, here's a satirical line typical of the rest. Britain abandons the European Union, leaving millions of globalists and dispensationalists shocked, disappointed, and angry. The idea here is that dispensationalists like myself, I believe in the pre-tribulation rapture of the church, are disappointed because Britain has exited from the European Union. I'm not disappointed at all. In fact, I never expected the European Union to amount to anything. And it hasn't. There's not enough stability there. There's not enough cohesiveness in that 28-member union residing primarily in Europe, but extending elsewhere as well. It began in 1993 with the Maastricht Treaty in the Netherlands. In 1993, morphed into a monetary union in 1999, and then into a full force European Union in 2002. And again, there are 28 nations in the European Union. I never have thought of the European Union as the revived Roman Empire, as some of the satirists are accusing me of. Now, as I go back to Daniel chapter 7, let's talk about this revived Roman Empire, and we'll see that it doesn't in any way represent the ideas of the European Union, the actualities of the Union, the monetizing of the Union. However you want to look at the European Union, it doesn't represent what's in the Bible. It's Daniel's fourth beast. Daniel talked about 4 world empires: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. The revived Roman Empire is called a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible. That's Daniel 7:7, and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured, broken pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. It had 10 horns. 10 horns, 10 divisions of power. Daniel says, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. And so we're talking about an individual commonly represented as the Antichrist here in Daniel's prophecy. So we have 4 global kingdoms: Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, and Rome. The Roman Empire came to its height during the days of Caesar Augustus, and then it collapsed in a heap in the centuries that followed, because of internal corruption of various kinds. 10 nations. I have never thought that the European Union, which is not 10 nations, it's 28 nations, represented anything like the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. However, there is one group, and I'm sure you've heard of this before, the Club of Rome, back in 1968, founded by the Morgenthau Group, the original purpose of which was to create what they called a new world order by the year 2000. Well, they have failed, but maybe their plan has only been postponed by a few years. Club of Rome, hidden agenda. Everybody has talked about that for years. In, I suppose, books by the truckload. They've spoken of how this new world order is going to come into being. But here's the fascinating thing about the plan of the Club of Rome in 1968. They divided the world into 10 regions of power. Now, why they chose 10, I don't know. But it conforms with the 10 horns mentioned in Daniel, so everybody got very excited about this. in the 60s, the 70s, 80s, 90s. They were looking at the Club of Rome plan. I have to confess, back in those days, I was also very intrigued by this design. The 10 regions of power would be: number 1, the United States; number 2, the European Union; number 3, Japan; number 4, South Africa; number 5, the old Soviet Union, or Russia in general; number 6 would be South America and Mexico; number 7, North Africa; number 8, Central Africa; and number 9, India, the region of India and the nations that surround India. And so you had the Club of Rome's idea about how to run the world. You have a 10-region conglomerate of power headed by person or persons unknown. And of course everybody jumped on that and said, that is it. That's what Daniel was talking about. That's the Antichrist government. Maybe. You can't really say, but what you can say for sure is that with or without Britain, the European Union is really not the power group mentioned by Daniel, and then repeated again in Revelation chapter 17. And we have in Revelation chapter 17 this, 17:9. Here's the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. There are 7 kings, 5 fallen, 1 which is, the other not yet come. When he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. This would be the Antichrist's global government, consisting of 10 regions of power. Not at all the European Union, although the European Union has, in Brussels, for example, the head of the European Common Market, headquarters of the European Common Market, has, guess what? In its plaza, the plaza out in front of the government building, features a statue. In fact, more than one statue of a woman riding a beast. And you find the woman riding the beast in Revelation chapter 17. The woman, 17:4, arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold, precious stones, and pearls, and having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. Of course, she's called Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, and she operates in conjunction with the beast and the 10 kings. And everybody wondered, well, why in Brussels are there statues of the woman, Europa, riding the beast, the bull, who represents Zeus? In other words, what you have is an occultic view of global power right there in Brussels. And so the question has been asked, could Brussels be the headquarters of the world power conceived of by the Club of Rome back in the late 60s and going on into the 70s and 80s? Well, maybe. Point is, we don't know. We're not that certain. And I do, in fact, very much believe in a global government that is based on merchant traffic. And we're talking about global trade. Have you noticed how global trade agreements have seized the news in recent months? There's the East-West trading agreement with China pending. There are trade agreements with Europe pending, and now with the exit of Britain uncertain. The world is built on trade agreements. The world is built on merchant traffic, and that is exactly what is mentioned with the woman riding the beast. She's the very picture of world merchant traffic. And with her destruction comes this famous scene in Revelation 18. And this dramatic, very dramatic scene in 18:17 of Revelation talks about the fall of this global market. For in 1 hour is so great riches come to naught. Every shipmaster and all accompanying ships, sailors, as many as trade by sea, stood afar off. And they cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, "What city is like unto this great city?" And here we have a picture of the failure of global merchant traffic. As I speak, there are hundreds, even thousands of ships in the shipping lanes around the world, delivering everything from brand new cars, clothing, toys, oil, commodities, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their ports of call are the great banks of planet Earth. They comprise the system that will one day be consolidated into one pattern, one group of trade and traffic, headed by one man. He's been called the Beast. He's been called the Antichrist. He has to seize power. And for him to seize power, there must come a collapse of the international order, the pieces of which must be reassembled by this man called the Beast, the Antichrist. And I have never for a moment thought of his home as England or France or Sweden, Denmark, Spain, Germany. I have never thought of his headquarters as being necessarily in Europe. Could be in New York City, could be in London, could be in Hong Kong. We don't know. We don't have enough information to know. We do know one thing. The international system of trade and traffic will one day collapse to be rebuilt by the prophesied one, the Beast, the Antichrist. And he'll operate it successfully for a while, and then it'll be taken out once and for all. That's kind of what I think about Brexit. I think Brexit will destabilize the European economy. I think a lot of European liberals are very, very upset right now because they had hitched their wagon to the star of Europe, and they were going to create an artificial currency and also an artificial system of societal control that would allow them to bring together a nation under some sort of dictatorship or other. The British have said, no, wait a minute, too soon to think about that. We're out of here. And they are. And we don't know what's going to happen yet, except that I think we can see a further loosening of ties in the European Union. Read your Bible. Pray about it. See what the Lord tells you as regards the 10 nations. You know, we're still very much in the formative era. Nothing is locked in at this point in time. We're watching. So you keep watching too. I'm Gary Stearman. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.